guitar, here we have Mr. Skip Fry. Give him a big hand. On the drums here we have a steady brother on the skins, Mr. Scott Hazen. Give us a solo. And behind me here in the corner, a man from the north, maybe, a little bit north. Bruce Fry on the bass guitar. Play us some funky stuff. Coconuts, hard little number row.
All these guys that come out here and do this with me. My name's Don Overby with Music for the Soul, and got a tremendous bunch of brothers and sisters helping do this. Many of them belong to the Blues Hall of Fame, and I have the honor of inducting one new member here today. Mr. Bruce Fry, step up, please. Bruce is being inducted as an artist, great artist, and ambassador for Pennsylvania. Give him a hand, would you please? This brother just started following us around, and look what happened to him.
Okay, we're here at Bike Week 2016, and this is my brother Bruce Fry. He's been inducted to the Blues Hall of Fame today, and we have actually played together at least last year. I think it was last year. Yeah. So when we travel like this, we always meet new people, interesting people like you, and tell me a little bit, where do you come from and what you do and stuff like that?
Well, I come from Lancaster, Pennsylvania, which is about 60 miles west of Philadelphia. All right. I got involved with Music for the Soul here probably, first time I came down was Daytona, I don't know, 5 years ago. Just kind of hung out. They invited me to come and play a couple times after that, and now I think I'm hooked. It's just a blessing for me to be here and be able to be part of this and meet amazing musicians like yourself and all the other guitar players and musicians that come in.
It's like a big family.
It really is.
Yeah.
It's tremendous.
Yeah. But how is it, have you always been a Christian?
I got saved when I was 12 years old. And you may have heard it said, I had a drug problem ever since I was little. Basically, if the church doors were open, my parents drugged me there. Wednesday night, if we had service, they drugged me to church. Saturday, they drugged me to church. So I got saved at a church camp when I was 12 years old. But, you know, I don't remember hearing at that point, or at least it didn't soak in, that being a follower of Christ was about a relationship. So by the time I was 18 and out of high school, I pretty much had walked away from anything revolving around following Christ. I still called myself a Christian, but really wasn't walking that path. Got into alcohol, smoked some marijuana, just some other things, you know, back in the day. Luckily, God brought me an amazing woman for a wife, and she kind of helped me steer my life back where it needs to be. And we always were involved in church. And I heard a pastor talk probably about 20 years ago where it really clicked that this was about a relationship, that the creator of the universe, the God of the world, wants a relationship with me and with everybody else. And that's the first time it really sunk in. And from that point on, my life began to change, because now it's not just showing up on church on Sundays and calling myself a Christian, but it's about working on a relationship. There's good days, there's bad days, but it's all about that relationship with Jesus.
What do you think about? Are there many of those people who think they are Christians, that they are saved because they go to church?
You know, unfortunately, and I counted myself as one of those people for a lot of years. In fact, I was a lay pastor. I'd go out and get drunk on Saturday night and show up and preach a sermon on Sunday morning. And I didn't think anything was wrong with that, because I thought I was showing up. And I think there's a lot of people that think all they have to do is show up on Sunday for an hour or two and they've got all their bases covered. And I really think that, I mean, my take is that heaven's going to be full of sinners, forgiven sinners, and there's going to be a lot of people in hell that are scratching their heads saying, but I believed in Jesus, I believed. Well, Satan believes too. But so I think there's a lot of people in the same boat that I was in, and I just pray that they realize, you know, come to the realization that Jesus wants a relationship with them, and that's what it's really about.
When you got your relationship with Jesus, when you came back to Him, did you experience something supernatural, or did anything like this happen?
You know, no bells and whistles went off, and my life didn't suddenly get perfect. But for me, I remember when I got saved when I was 12, I felt that supernatural presence. When I realized it was a relationship, for me, it was just an overwhelming sense of peace and calm, no matter what came my way. I mean, like I said, there's good days and there's bad days. The bad days are the ones that I choose not to be in the Word the way that I should. But no, so for me, it was just really facing the hurdles and the struggles of life, and just having an amazing sense of peace that no matter what happens, God wins, and therefore I win, because I know where my future is.
If we look at the world today, there's a lot of bad things going on, and we as Christians, we're going to be followed, we're going to be persecuted. But I have asked this question to myself, and it's a hard task to answer and mean it. Are you ready to die for Jesus?
Yeah, I don't. And I don't sit here and say, yeah, I'm ready to die today for Jesus, because I don't. If I would have been one of those Christians back in the early days of the church, I would like to think that I would have stood up for my faith in Jesus and went to the lions, or went to whatever the world would have had for me. But I think until each and every one of us are in that position, we don't know how we'll react. And if we put our faith in Christ, if we put our belief in Him, you know, I think He'll give us the strength to get through it. And I look at the Christians all around the world today that are being persecuted, that are being executed all over the world just for being a follower of Christ. And I just can't imagine what it must be to face that. And I hope if the call comes someday that I'll be able to do it.
Yeah, I believe we're living in the end times, and do you do other musical projects than Music for the Soul? Do you go out to other rallies?
I used to, but I travel for a living with my job, and so I've been somewhat limited. I've had to scale back in some of my other music outreaches for now. As my job settles down, hopefully at some point, I'd like to get back into it. Because to me, this is, I don't think God puts anything on your heart, either that you don't have a passion for, or something that He will give you a passion for. And I feel I've been blessed that He's led me into motorcycle ministry and music ministry, two things that I just have a real passion and a heart for. So I'm hoping someday to be able to expand upon what I'm already doing, but right now it's somewhat limited to Music for the Soul.
How would you experience a day here at Bike Week?
Every day is different. It's amazing. The things you see, the things you hear, the things you experience, the people that come in, stopping by maybe for a minute or two or 5-10 minutes listening to what we're playing, the message that we're putting across, the testimonies that are shared from the stage, and watching how it's touching people, to me makes it all worth it. I mean, it's hard to describe what's here until you actually experience it. But I really think that Music for the Soul and this ministry is really a light in a dark place. In this rally or in Sturgis or the other rallies that Music for the Soul plays, it's an amazing light in a dark, dark world.
What would you say to those Christians who claim that if we're Christians we can't play rock and roll?
I don't buy it. I just don't buy it. I think no matter what, if you're doing it for the glory of God, I don't find when I was a teenager back in the 70s, I liked Black Sabbath, I liked Kiss, I liked all the bands back in the day, and I still like some of the tunes, but I can't listen to the words. And I think as long as we are making a joyful noise to God and giving Him the glory, I don't care if it's rock and roll, I don't care if it's praise and worship music or hymns. At one point in the church's history, hymns were put down and praise and worship music was put down. Now that's commonplace. So, I think restrictions saying you can't play this, you can't do that, you can't wear this or look like that, that's all man's rules. I think God hears what we're doing. I don't care if we're playing country music, rock and roll, or classical music. If we're playing it for His glory and for His honor, that's what it's about.
What I have seen here when we have been playing is that when we play up-tempo rock and roll, people, they stop by and they listen. Some people might drink a beer, they might be drunk and stuff like that, but those are the people who need to hear about deliverance, healing, restoration, and salvation. So to me, it feels good to be here, even if it's a dark place. Like it's some people, it's just like you see, there's no light.
Right. Well, and in America, as I'm sure around the world, so many people are put off to walking into a mainline church that this might be the only exposure to Jesus that they have. The short few minutes that we have to minister to them as they're walking by. And, as much as I hate to say it, somebody playing an organ and singing a classical hymn isn't going to make somebody stop and listen. In this surrounding, you're right, up-tempo, rock and roll, blues music, whatever it might be, that music might hook them in, and then all of a sudden they hear the words and hear what we're saying. We're able to convey the message of love and the message of salvation through Christ through that meaning. I mean, as far as a Christian, we were all told, get out into the world. Get out into the world. And that doesn't mean go to all the safe places, go to the places where all the Christians gather. We're not meant to be in a holy huddle. We're meant to be in places like this, in the bars and the taverns and every place else. Because at one point, somebody took time with me to share the love of God with me when I was in a dark place, and hopefully we're doing the same thing here.
What about people out there who might be watching this and looking at this hairy Christian dudes with leather, you have a leather vest and we have tats and stuff like this, and they might think they're a hopeless case, because in the eyes of the world, I was a hopeless case, and there's so many so-called hopeless cases, but are there hopeless cases for God?
I don't think there is a hopeless case for God. You know, I really don't. I think God can reach into anyone's heart. Excuse me. I think He can reach into anyone's heart and change it whenever He wants to. Okay. We have to be open, I feel, to that leading, to that instruction, to that ministry. But whether you've got tattoos, whether you've got long hair, whether you've got no hair, whether you're wearing jeans or a business suit, some of the most real people I've met, both Christian and non-Christian, are dressed like you and I. And some of the most fake people I've met are dressed like bankers and Wall Street people. So judging someone by the way they look, you're totally missing the mark. Only God knows what's in somebody's heart. Only God knows.
What about you say to a person who, if somebody asks you, how do I get to know Jesus? How do I get saved? How do you usually tell people about salvation?
Well, I think salvation's a free gift. I mean, you don't have to do anything first. You don't have to cut your hair. You don't have to go out and buy nice clothes, do this or that. I mean, you basically have to open your heart and surrender to Jesus and just say, I've tried everything else. You know, you're the only one. You're the creator of the world, the Son of God, the only true living Son of God. And just by asking, He will come into your heart and you'll be saved. But I think there's a caveat to that. So many people think that I've said that prayer, so now it's all done. I don't have to do anything else again. And, there's an amazing sense of freedom in being saved. You and I are free to drink. We're free to go out and do drugs. We're free to do whatever we want. But we have a desire now not to do that, to live for God, to live for Him. So just praying the prayer doesn't necessarily get you, I don't want to say works get you saved. It's kind of a confusing thing, but it's accepting the free gift that Jesus is offering to each and every one of us, and then living that life, surrendering your life fully to Him.
And we know that there are no perfect churches, but there's probably a church for everyone somewhere.
There is. It's amazing. I know in America here, there's biker churches, there's churches and ministries for strippers, for drug addicts, for alcoholics, for bankers, for people that dress what the world would call normal. So yeah, there's a church for everybody out there. But the main thing is finding a true Bible-believing and Bible-preaching church. If a church doesn't preach the gospel, run.
Yeah, because the most important thing we have to stand on is His Word.
That's right.
And I saw this picture on Facebook. You probably saw it too, that somebody was praying and was mad at God and asking, I can't hear you. You won't speak to me. And then he hands the
Bible.
Yeah. So I think that's a good picture.
Yeah. Now, His Word is right there in front of us every day. Yeah. And it's amazing the times that we live in. I carry His Word. Right here. It's on my cell phone. Exactly. I've got it on my computer. I've got a printed version. We have so many opportunities in this country. I know there's places in the world that struggle and are blessed that they get a chapter at a time. But we are so blessed here to have so many opportunities to read the Scripture and read what God is saying and speaking to us every single day.
Amen. And today you have been inducted in the Blues Hall of Fame. How does that feel?
It was an amazing feeling and quite a shock. I mean, I was not expecting that whatsoever. I'm just blessed to be up there with this amazing group of musicians that come in and want to use their talents and gifts for God. I'm just blessed to be part of that.
And when we're saved, we don't have to fear death anymore. We will go to heaven when we die.
Amen.
What do you think heaven is going to be like?
I don't want to sound like I'm copping out on this answer, but I can't imagine what it's going to be like. I mean, it talks about streets of gold, and if you read the book of Revelation, it describes the New Jerusalem and the city and precious metals so pure and precious that they're like glass. I can't imagine what that must be like. you know, I've heard people say they don't want to go to heaven because they don't want to sit up on a cloud playing a harp all day. That's not heaven. That's not heaven. You know, being in the glory of God 24/7, and time's not going to exist, I know, but for our, however we can relate to it, I just can't imagine what it's going to be like. But no sickness, no death, no, none of that.
A lot of joy.
A lot of joy.
Peace, love.
It's going to be, you know, we thought the 60s were the decade of love. 60s ain't got nothing on heaven, man.
Yeah, I also think that we can eat as much as we want there without gaining any weight.
Yeah, that would be good.
That would be good.
That would be good.
Because it says that a table is prepared for us, and we're gonna have supper.
Amen.
And it's our job to take the gospel to the people. So it was so nice to meet you here again.
It's great to see you, and a pleasure to play with you, and then sit down for a few minutes as well.
Yeah, and we see each other again sometime.
Sounds good. I look forward to it.
So this is Spanish J back, Life in Him from Daytona Bike Week 2016, and as Brother Bruce here said, like, it's just to open up your heart for Jesus. We're all empty on the inside, and we try to fill it with drugs, alcohol. It might be money, it might be porn, it might be power, but only Jesus can fill that empty hole. So I challenge you to just try Jesus. Say, Jesus, if you're real, show me, and I promise you that He will show that He's real. So until next time, stay blessed.